ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुश्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। अभ्रमं भङ्गरहितम् अजडं विमलं सदा आनन्दतीर्थमतुलं भजे तापत्रयापहम्। चित्रे पदैश्च गम्भीरे वाक्यैर्माने रखण्डिते गुरुभावं व्यञ्जयन्ती भाति श्रीजयतीर्थवा। अर्थकल्पितकल्पोऽयं प्रत्यर्थगजकेसरी व्यासतीर्थगुरुर्भूयात् अस्मदिष्टार्थसिद्धये। जयति श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ हंस मदन गोपालाः। वक्ष्यामि यस्य कृपया प्रमेय रत्नावलीं सूक्ष्मं भक्त्याभासेनापि तोषं ददाने धर्माध्यक्षे विश्वनिस्तारे नाम्नि नित्यानंद अद्वैत चैतन्य रूपे तत्वे तस्मिन् नित्यम आस्तां रतिर्नः आनंद तीर्थ नाम सुखमय धाम यतिर्जीयात् संसारार्णवतारिणीं यम इह जनाः कीर्तयन्ति बुधाः भवति विचिन्त्या विदुषां निरवकरा गुरुपरम्परा नित्यम् एकान्तित्वं सीदयति ययोदयति येन हरितोषः। हरे कृष्ण। Okay, so we discussed the topics of Jivo, Bhedo Jivagana, the Taratamya that Baldev Vidyabhushan specifies. So, how there is variety in the material world, difference between the living entities, one is great and one is small. Between the demigods and human beings, there is a gradations. Within the society of demigods, also there is gradation. And uh, based on the quality of the jiva, how much it is divine or demoniac, there is again gradation. Then after liberation, again there is gradation. Even after liberation, there is gradation in the service, there is a gradation in position, and there is a gradation in bliss. So, gradation is an unavoidable thing. We cannot make a utopian world where everyone is equal. This is egalitarian idea is very, I mean, it's a good sentiment, but it cannot be practical. So we have to be practical also. And practically, we see that there is variety. And Krishna is happy with the variety. Krishna is happy when everyone is engaged in their positions according to their variety. For Radha, Krishna needs her in her position. For Chandravali, Krishna needs her in her position. For the queens of Dwarka, Krishna needs them in their position. As Sita, Krishna needs her in her position. As Hanuman, he is needed in his position. Then, as Pandavas, they are needed in their position. Prahlad Maharaj is needed in their position. Then, the sadhakas who are in the material world, they are also needed. And among them, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, they are all varieties who are needed because they play some role in completing this whole system. Purusha and Stri, the men and women, they have their roles. The roles can't interchange. So each of them have their role in completion of this system. So that is why the point here is not to replace one with the other, but the ultimate point is to keep people where they are and not disturb the system. So that is the concept of Nichocha Bhavangata. uh, Trained in the samskaras of the present world, we are not willing to accept this nichocha bhava exists. We want our education has made us is forcing us to think that everything should be, all of us are equal and everyone should be treated equally. But the reality is not like that. So that ends the discussion on nichocha bhavangata. The next topic of discussion is Muktir Naija Sukhanubhuti. The real happiness is in going back to Godhead. So, before we begin that, any last questions on this? Anyone has anything to comment? Okay, so then we will start with the next section. Krishna Praptehe Mokshatvam. Liberation is the attainment of Lord Krishna. See, the word moksha is looked at by different people differently. This is a one very important point we should get clarity on. Then we will be able to do justice to this point. So, if you ask the Mimamsakas, for them, they don't believe anything beyond this material world. They believe everything is the world of Vedas, and Vedas means Devas, the demigods. And the ultimate end is to go to Swarga. Te tu bhuktva swargalokam vishadam kshine punyam martilokam vishanti. Okay, the principle is that after your punyas are exhausted in Swarga, you have to come back. That's okay. After we come back, again we will perform punya and again we will go there. So they are not worried about it. Okay, even if the punya gets over and we come here, we will again go there. So for them, that is ultimate. For them, that is moksha. Then there are some, the impersonalists, who somehow we have to get out of this world. So what lies there, that's not our priority. Ultimately, there is nothing. So we have to eventually get out of this world of suffering. That is the ultimate thing. So for them, that is mokshatvam. Then somebody may say that they will have some swarupa in the spiritual world and they will go there and be engaged in their swarupa. So that is mokshatva. Then there is a concept of Jivan Mukta. Jivan Mukta means, actually speaking, the mind, intelligence, and ego will always be there as long as we don't leave this material world. It is said that at the time of liberation, when we are in the corner of the material world, about to enter spiritual world, there is a Viraja river. A person has to get into the Viraja river, take bath in that, and once he takes bath in that, then his mind, intelligence, and ego will be destroyed. And once that is destroyed, then you get out get out in the other end of the Viraja river, and that is where you will have an entry into the spiritual world. So that is a system. So anyway, there is not complete annihilation, but one thing is that you will be situated in trance in this material world. So that is also accepted as moksha. So you will be situated in devotional service. For the Vaishnavas, it is devotional service. So that is what they consider to moksha, as moksha. So now what is being spoken of here, that is needs to be clarified. And Baldev Vidyabhushan clarifies that right at the beginning. Krishna praptehe mokshatvam. Attainment of Krishna, that is real liberation. Okay. Now, the material world is a horrible place. There is no happiness in the material world. People are trying different experiments to be happy. They are trying different adjustments. Some adjustment here, some adjustment there. I will be happy. If I get a job, I will be happy. If I get some salary, I will be happy. If I get a good education, I will be happy. If I get married, I will be happy. If I get children, I will be happy. And if I get a promotion in office, I'll be happy. Everything, people are trying different things in this world to be happy. Unfortunately, all those attempts are being done divorced from Krishna or separate from Krishna. So, because all these attempts are done separate from Krishna, eventually these happinesses will lead to misery. यही संस्पर्श जा भोगा दुख योने एवते अद्यंतमंत कौन्तेय नतेषु रमते गुधा. Intelligent people will not dwell into this happiness caused by sense enjoyment, because eventually it is going to lead to suffering. So that is the point that we should understand. So, real happiness is when we are close to Krishna, when we go back to Krishna, when we go to that world where things are eternal. The nature of this world is, although it is real, we discussed in the past that the material world is real, but there is a problem with that. The problem is that the material world is temporary. Whatever you get here, you are going to lose it. Today we are, let's say we are flying to somewhere, but then once the journey is over, once you enjoy on the vacation and come back, it's over. Similarly, today you are getting some very good food, and after you eat that food, it's over. Then there will be no more enjoyment of the same food. You may get different food, but the stomach has to cooperate. But this particular enjoyment will be over. So you may buy some of your favorite fruits and favorite vegetables, but either they are consumed and finished, or they get rotten and finished. So one day they will get destroyed. Similarly, one may be excited to stay in a particular house. One may be excited to get something, some object of his happiness, but then all of them are temporary. Eventually, they will cause suffering. So here the point that is emphasized is natad bhashayate suryo na shashanko na pavaka yat gatva na nivartante tad dhama paramam. The eternal abode of mind, the Krishna says, the eternal abode of mind, there we don't need any of these artificial things like sun, moon, and electricity and fire, all these things. Once a person comes to that world, he never comes back to this world again. So that is expected, that we aim to reach that eternal world. Then there will be ultimate happiness. So that is why Prabhupada used this word back to Godhead. The real happiness is in going back to Godhead, not in getting stuck in this material world. So here in one of the lectures on Srimad Bhagavatam 6.2.16, September 1975, Srila Prabhupada says, if you become enlightened, then you must know that this material world is not for our habitation. We must go back home, back to Godhead. Therefore, this Krishna consciousness movement is preaching that this is not your home. Don't try to be happy here. Yurashaya ye bahirarthamanina. Bahirarthamanina, bahir, external energy. They are thinking that materially, if we make some arrangement, some of them are trying to be happy by scientific improvement, or some of them are trying to go to heavenly planets, and some of them are trying to become this, that, but they do not know that real happiness is to go back to home, back to Godhead. Nate vidu swartha gatim hi Vishnu. Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5.31. They do not know that. So this is a very important movement, that we are giving them hint and education how to go back to home, back to Godhead. So that attainment of eternal life, that is real happiness. See, when we stay in a house, we are happy, but then one day that house will be destroyed. We have to take another house. When we wear some clothes, we are happy. I got new clothes. But then one day you have to leave that clothes and buy another clothes. Similarly, we may be attached to so many things. I may have got a new laptop, but then one day it will be destroyed. I have to leave it. Similarly, one day my body will not be the same. It will be old. The hair that grow, if I am too attached to it, one day it will be gone. I will have to cut it. Similarly, my own body, one day I have to replace the body. However, there is something that doesn't get replaced, and when everything goes, something that still remains, that is the spirit soul, that is the spiritual entity. So that never goes. So that spirit soul is a permanent thing. So we should understand the needs of that spirit. What is the need of what are the needs of that spirit? That is very important to understand. So here, liberation, which is the attainment of Lord Krishna, shall now be discussed. So in the Shvetashvara Upanishad, it is said, knowing God, all bonds vanish, and when all distress is thus destroyed, one's repeated birth and death also vanish. By meditating on the Supreme, upon breaking out of the subtle body, one attains his pure abode, which is the ultimate opulence, and all of one's desires are fulfilled. See, by meditating on Supreme Lord upon breaking out of the subtle body. So we have to meditate on the Supreme Lord, and eventually we have to come out of this subtle body made of mind, attain intelligence and ego. And that is when we will be reaching the spiritual abode, and kevalam apta kamaha, all the desires will be fulfilled there. So we are struggling to fulfill various desires in this material world, but eventually all the desires are going to be frustrated here. That is the place where all desires are fulfilled. That is why Supreme Lord comes here to advertise that this is the world we are in. This is the world where there is so much fun. Morning there is fun, afternoon there is fun, evening there is fun, there is all fun here. So here these pastimes, get attached to this and eventually come to me. participate in this pastime. So Lord is advertising, just like a movie comes. So the movie has a trailer and it has a teaser nowadays. So they give a few seconds of a teaser and fine after that they give a proper trailer. The what is the purpose of the trailer? The purpose is eventually you have to get attached to, you have to like it and you must go and watch the movie. But that movie also with the excellent teaser and excellent trailer, however attractive it is, eventually it will end, and its craze also will end. You may watch a movie 5 times, you may watch a movie 10 times. There were some movies which people have watched 100 times, it seems. But then the craze someday will end. But this crazing of the spiritual world will never end. That is the thing. So we hear the pastimes, the purpose is to get attracted to that, and repeated birth and death will eventually vanish once we reach there. That is the point. So in Gopala Upanishad 1.19 to 20, it is mentioned Krishna is the only all pervasive worshipable Lord, although one he appears many. The wise who worship the Supreme Lord, who is situated in the highest abode, attain everlasting happiness, not the others. So, one important thing is that one must explicitly worship the Supreme Lord. If we want to attain everlasting happiness, then there is no compromise. We must worship the Supreme Lord because everyone else, they themselves are temporary. The various demigods of the material world, they are temporary. And because they are temporary, they cannot give something permanent. Various people tried. Hiranyakashipu tried, Hiranyaksha tried, Ravana Kumbhakarna tried. So many people tried to get something permanent out of them. But because they themselves are not permanent, they cannot give anything permanent. So, what is required is exclusive devotion to Supreme Lord Hari and exclusive worship of Supreme Lord Krishna. That is quite mandatory. Without that, we cannot reach this highest abode. मामुपेत्य पुनर्जन्म दुःखालयम अशाश्वतम नाप्नुवन्ति महात्माना संसिद्धिम परमाम गता. Bhagavad Gita 8.15 says, after attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world which is full of miseries because they have attained the highest perfection. See, so once they reach the spiritual world, they don't come to this world again because they have got what is required. They have got the highest perfection of life. So that is the liberation. And what is the nature of this liberated state? How it is? So a person may get confused. There is a concept called naiti naiti. Means what do you have in liberated state? Do you have miseries? No. Do you have old age? No. Do you have disease? No. Do you have a wife who cheats you? No. Do you have a husband who beats you? No. Do you have a child who troubles you? No. Do you have a parent who keeps you strict on studies, this, that, and all? No. So, no, 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 no. Eventually, what is there? There is nothing. Eventually, it's all void because there is no parent, there is no child, there is no friend, there is no sister, nothing. So, this concept of getting frustrated with this material world causes a certain section of people to say that there is nothing there. Because if all these people come there, then they will create headache for us. So then nobody is there. So that is the understanding. They say that it's all void, it's all shunya. But that is not the actual position. That's not the reality. So there, even in the liberated state, there is variety, and Krishna is the all pervasive worshipable Lord. Although one he appears as many, the wise worship the Supreme Lord who is situated in highest abode of eternal happiness. So the Supreme Lord is there to accept worship, and there is a relationship of the worshipper and the worshipped in the spiritual world. So everything that is there, all the variety of this world is also found in spiritual world. But just that variety doesn't lead to misery, it leads to happiness. Whereas the variety in this world leads to misery. That is the only difference. Otherwise, how it can happen that ordinary souls like us have happiness of the love of parents, have the children to care to, then we have friends to play with. We have so many varieties, we have so many mangoes to eat, bananas to eat, we have so many things to eat. So parathas we can eat, so many varieties we can eat here. And the Parabrahman who is Paramananda doesn't have any of these things. At least I am better, at least I have so many things. So it doesn't make sense. So the actual reality is the absolute truth has much more varieties. The spiritual world has much more varieties than in the material world. If you can make 1,000 rupees recipes, the spiritual world can make unlimited recipes. So it is having much variety of happiness than what we can contemplate here. So that is liberation. The liberation is attainment of the lotus feet of the Lord and serving there. And this is possible by the mercy of the Lord, as is said in Srimad Bhagavatam 2.10.6. Mukti means Swarupena Vyavasthiti, being situated in one's own constitutional position. All material desires are present as long as one is in a bodily concept of life. But when one realizes that he is an eternal servant of Krishna, his desires are no longer material. A devotee acts in this consciousness. In other words, when material desires in connection with the body are finished, one is actually liberated. Srimad Bhagavatam 4.22.27 purport. Further, in 3. Srimad Bhagavatam 3.25.54, the verse says, a pure devotee who is attached to the activities of devotional service and who always engages in the service of my lotus feet, Kapil Deva is saying this, Supreme Lord, never desires to become one with me. Such a devotee who is unflinchingly engaged always glorifies my pastimes and activities. So impersonal liberation is rejected. They always want to be in relationship with the Lord and serve Him. That position of service they want. So the service of the material world is frustrating. Why the service of the material world is frustrating? Because the master is one day going to cheat us. Even as we are in this situation, the master doesn't keep the servant happy. So one may think, even after going there also will I have a master? Then what is the use? But no, that master is the supreme merciful master, the supreme Lord, and because he is the supreme Lord, supreme merciful master, that liberation doesn't cause misery. It causes happiness only. So further it is mentioned is the same Srimad Bhagavatam 3.25.34 purport. There are many so-called devotees who think that in the conditioned state we may worship the personality of Godhead, but ultimately there is no personality. They say that since the absolute truth is impersonal, one can imagine a personal form of the impersonal absolute truth for the time being. But as soon as one becomes liberated, the worship stops. That is the theory put forward by the Mayavadi philosophy. Actually, the impersonalists do not merge in the existence of the Supreme Person, but into his personal bodily luster, which is called the Brahmajyoti. Although the Brahmajyoti is not different from his physical body, that sort of oneness merging into the bodily luster of the personality of Godhead is not accepted by a pure devotee because the devotees engage in greater pleasure than the so called pleasures of merging into his existence. The greatest pleasure is to serve the Lord. Devotees are always thinking about how to serve Him. They are always desiring ways and means to serve the Supreme Lord, even in the midst of the greatest obstacles of material existence. Srimad Bhagavatam 3.25.34 purport. So, the Mayavadi philosophy of is condemned by Prabhupada here that the merging of the Supreme Lord, it is not the highest. Highest is to stay in the association of the Lord and engage in service. So that is what a devotee is always thinking. What? How to serve the Lord, how to keep Him happy. So desires don't end. One thing is that we have desires in the material world, desires in the spiritual world will also be there. Desires don't end. So then, will our sufferings also not end? No, it's not like that. The desires of the material world are for the self. And because the desires are for the self, they eventually lead to suffering. It's for our satisfaction of the senses. Whereas liberation means not death of desire, but death of material desire. It is liberated soul is apta kama, one whose desires are fulfilled. Everything he wants, he gets. To new devotees, sometimes we say that there are kalpataru, there are desire fulfilling trees in the spiritual world. So if you just stand under a tree and say, I want samosas, you will get. I want masala dosa, you will get. So all that is there. The desire fulfilling trees are there. We don't condemn them. But the devotee, once who he goes there, he wants everything for Krishna. He wants to serve Krishna, and all his desire to love and serve Krishna will be satisfied. And that is eternal desire, and that always gives happiness. So, that is the point we would like to understand here. Uh, just one last point. This thing applies to all the forms of the Lord. So here the Kantimala commentary and Baldev Vidyabhushan explicitly say that one worships different forms of the Lord, and by worshipping any of these forms of the Lord, one eventually reaches the state of liberation. So, liberation is attained by worshipping the different forms of the Lord, and any of the forms like Krishna, Rama, Narsimha, Hayagriva, Vamana. So, all these different forms of the Lord are there, and any of the forms can be worshipped, and eventually they will reach the eternal abode. So, that is the concept of liberation. So, the real liberation is attaining that the lotus feet of the Lord and satisfying the Lord. So, this was a short topic. So, any points, any questions related to that, you can ask.
Praviji, I have a question here. Can I ask? Yeah. So, Praviji, the thing about you said about luster, quoting Srila Prabhupada's purports, uh, the Mayavadis generally say, and I've also like heard from it from the various kathas also, that the Brahman, which the Mayavadis aim for, it is the Brahman without any Vishesha, or the Brahman which has no Shaktis or which has no Vishesha. So that is what they aim for. And when we do the Upasana of Saguna Sakar Bhagwan, it is Krishna, Sri Ram, etc., that is the Brahman Sashakti, with the Shakti. So, how is the concept of Brahman being the bodily luster of the Saguna Sakar Bhagwan coming from?
Hmm. So, the Mayavadi idea is that eventually it will be the impersonal. Now you have to do something in this world. You cannot, you are not Brahman, you are not realize that you are not Brahman, you are Brahman, so you have to do something in this world. And Vedas also give various rituals, various worships, various yajnas, pujas, and all. So, all that is meant because we are conditioned and we will continue to worship the personal God. The day you realize that Tattvamasi, you are actually that Brahman, you are actually that absolute truth, then you are transcendent, that you need not worship a form of the Lord. So you are eventually absolute truth. Actually, there is, according to pure Mayavad, if anyone has really understood Mayavad properly, Vyasatirtha explains that beautifully in Nyayamrita. If anyone has really understood Mayavad properly, then there is no merging at all. It's only Brahman. There is nothing other than Brahman. And one day it's just that the knowledge is Bada, just like snake is confused as a rope is confused as snake, and when you bring light, you will realize that, oh, it was just a rope. Similarly, very soon you will realize that it was just Brahman, and I am also just Brahman, everything is just Brahman. It is the realization in one's own position. It's not that we go to a different place and merge. So that is the actual Mayavadi philosophy. But here it is a different case. Here there is something called Sayujya. You will become Yojita, you will become a part of God. Too much meditating on the Lord can make you such that you become part of the Lord. But then being a part of the Lord, if it is not having a separate existence of service, then that is not going to be the topmost type of liberation. That is the point that is told here.
Yeah, I got this point. Like, I got the idea of Mayavad, but I was just wondering that how did the concept of Brahman being the bodily luster of Bhagwan come from?
Hmm. That is coming from the Ishopanishad. Hiranmayena patrena
Hmm.
satyasyapi hitam mukam tattvam pushan napabrunu satyadharmaya drishyate. So, this Shruti Vakya, it says that this Hiranmaya Patra, this glowing effulgence, is blocking me from seeing you. So, what happens is the Supreme Lord is there, and there is his glowing effulgence. That glowing effulgence spread everywhere. It's attractive, and that attraction takes further attractive forms of the material world. It is a part of those energies become material world and become attractive forms. So because we are seeing these attractive forms of the material world, they are actually the effulgence of the Lord, and that is blocking us from seeing the real supreme Lord. So from that, this concept of the effulgence coming from the Lord is taken.
Yes, yes. Wonderful. Got it.
So, any questions in this regard? One thing is that there are some statements which I will be discussing in the next, but I will give you a hint of it. There are some statements in Shastras that moksha lagutakrit, pure devotional service, reduces the desire for liberation, and liberation is not important for a devotee, and all those things. So, such statements seem to eclipse this point that muktir naija sukhanubhuti. So, devotee, one may think that real happiness is not in liberation but in devotion, and so there are, if a real devotee is there, he should reject liberation for devotion. So, whereas here it is explicitly mentioned that real happiness is in liberation. To how to reconcile that? So, this is one paksha that will be discussed in the next section of pure devotional service. Okay. Anything else?
Hare Krishna, Guruji.
Yes.
Guruji, can we say, because as per Bhagavatam, Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagwan iti sabdate, so
Mm.
Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagwan, they are same with the part of their how they manifest their Shaktis. And
Mm.
what is the effulgence that we say at Brahma Jyoti?
What is the effulgence?
What is the effulgence we say Hiranyamay Patna, or what, like that is Brahma Jyoti, not
Hmm.
Brahman.
That is that is Brahma Jyoti and not Brahman. What is the difference?
Of course, in that sense, there is no difference to it. But we also say, मतलब they are like we see like Bhagavan. So for us, Bhagavan is Bhagavan. It is Bhagavan's Jyoti.
Hmm.
And in of course we say there is difference, and also there is non-difference because it is his energy.
Hmm.
So in that sense, but they say Brahman because for them everything is Brahman. But we say it is like a Brahma Jyoti, and Krishna is our Brahman.
Mhm. See, I will
When we say
read this translation of Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.11. Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam jnana yad jnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabdate. This shabdate, it is very important point which generally people neglect. I will read the translation. Learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call this non-divine substance Brahman, Paramatma or Bhagavan. So it is the same substance. The same Padartha is called as Brahman by some, Paramatma by some, and Bhagavan by some. It is not that there are different entities who are Brahman, who are Paramatma, and who are Bhagavan. So these people call it that way. That is the point, and that is that this verse indicates.
yes, bro, that's right. So Brahman is a Krishna without when he doesn't manifest his energies, and his Jyoti is called Brahma Jyoti. But Krishna Jyoti is Brahma Jyoti.
No, actually, there is no difference between the any of the aspects of the Lord, because Neha na Nasti Kinchana, we discussed that the Supreme Lord, His form, His name, His qualities, His effulgence, they are all Supreme Lord. It is said that even the nails of Lord Narasimha, they are also supreme. And one of the Sripad Madhvacharya has written a couple of verses glorifying the nails of Lord Narasimha, and that is also glorified on the level with Narasimha only. It is considered supreme. So, like that, in every aspect of Supreme Lord is supreme. It's not less than supreme.
Yes, Prabhuji. Why I'm raising this point too? Because we have this word Brahma Jyoti. If we don't have this word, then it's okay. And if we say the Brahman is the Jyoti of Bhagavan. So
Mhm.
then it means, matlab, in the simple terms of Nyaya, it means that Brahman is the Jyoti of Bhagavan Krishna,
Hmm.
and then it has its Jyoti, that is Brahma Jyoti. So Brahma Jyoti is the Jyoti of Brahman, and Brahman is itself a Jyoti of Bhagavan. So a quality cannot have a quality in that sense.
No, there is
So
no need to apply it that way because it's quite clear that everything associated with Bhagwan is Bhagwan only. There is no in Brahman. There is no difference. There is you cannot separate things within Brahman. So because you cannot separate this within Brahman, it's very simple to understand. Hiranmayena patrena satyasyapitam mukham, when it says that Hiranmaya patra, that effulgence is Supreme Lord only. There is no need to differentiate that.
okay, Premji. Because Brahma Jyoti and Brahman two words come, that's why sometimes we say Brahma Jyoti. But generally we say Brahma Jyoti. So in that
Yeah,
sense.
generally we say Brahma Jyoti, it is the effulgence of the Lord. But the thing is, here the emphasis is that devotees want service. So they don't want to reach a state where that relationship of service is not there to the Lord. That is the emphasis here.
Yes, Prabhu. And also in Bhagavatam, when I think Lord Kapila says that Lord Krishna, even devotees doesn't accept five types of mukti, even it is given by Lord if there is no service.
No, that will come. That section will come because sometimes such sections are misunderstood also to mean that moksha is not expected by devotees. So definitely liberation is happiness, and because liberation is happiness, devotees do want that liberation, and we also advertise to new people when we preach. We definitely preach to them that real happiness is there. It's not in the material world because we are away from Krishna. Eventually, we have to go back to Krishna. Then only we'll be having that happiness. How to understand that moksha lagutakrit, that pure devotional service makes liberation small? How to understand that point? That we will see in the next section.
Okay, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Okay, liberation is the ultimate happiness. Any doubts in this section before we begin with pure devotional service?
Prabhuji, one more question, just to understand.
Uh,
Does Madhvacharya have this concept of Jivan Mukta like Gaudiyas have?
there is no explicit concept of Jivan Mukta in the philosophy of Madhvacharya. Uh, But the idea is there that certain souls are quite pure and they have reached the stage where they will get the bliss of liberation. But eventually, as Jiva Goswami mentions in his, uh, what is that? I think Paramatma Sandarbha, he mentions that only along with Brahma the jivas get liberated. So only after the lifetime of Brahma the jivas get liberated. That is one speciality of the understanding of Madhva Sampradaya. So Jiva Goswami mentions that.
Okay, Prabhu. That is, I think, Kama Mukti.
Yes. Okay. So
I think both, even Ramanuja also doesn't have. Only Advaitiyans and Gaudiyas have this concept of Jivan
yeah.
Mukti.
I was looking for this shloka Ada Guru Padashraya Krishna Dikshanu Shikshanam Vishrambena Guru Seva. So anybody has it handy? Yes, anybody has it ready? Okay, anyway, I no problem. So
Prabhuji, it is
now,
in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela. But it is in that
22.115.
that is in
22.115,
terms
right?
of yes, yes. But that is in, of course,
That's
Bengali
not the
prayer.
full shloka. I had got it, but that's not the full shloka. I wanted the whole thing. आदौ गुरु पाजाश्रय श्री कृष्ण दीक्षानुशिक्षणम विश्रम्भेन गुरु सेवा. Further what it is I wanted. Anyway, so we will continue this.
Just two I'm telling you.
Yeah, you search
It is
it.
Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.74.
And can you send it in the group? Something. Okay, so one uniqueness of the Vaishnava philosophy or Vaishnava understanding is that liberation cannot be achieved without the mercy of the Supreme Lord. It's only when the Supreme Lord desires, only when He is merciful, only when He permits, that is when only liberation is possible. So, that is unique. When you accept a personality, then there is a relationship. And when the relationship is there, then He is the controller. And because He is the controller, it is He who is going to decide whether we are getting liberated or no. So sometimes the word pure devotional service and the word back to Godhead, these are used a little cheaply. We think that without much qualification, we are somehow eligible to go back to Godhead or we are somehow eligible for pure devotional service. No, the attainment of the abode of the Lord is only possible by pure devotional service, not by mixed devotional service. You cannot have karma, jnana, yoga, and bhakti together and still go back to Godhead. If I still maintain material desires, then there is no scope of going back to Godhead. So one must completely be pure from this. Then only he will be actually able to reach that abode of the Lord. So that is possible by mercy of the Lord. Asanga shastrena drudena chitva. Bhagavad Gita chapter 15 describes about a big banyan tree. So the banyan tree is having secondary roots and primary roots. Primary roots are in the soil and secondary roots start coming from the branches. Children play with that. Eventually, those secondary roots get into the soil and then the tree expands, continues to grow. And it may be just be one tree, but that one tree becomes a whole big forest. So, to cut such a big tree is not possible easily. So, Krishna compares our material existence to that big tree, where sometimes we are born in heavenly planets, sometimes we are born in a hellish planet, sometimes we are born in this Martyaloka here. So, we are born at different places in this system. So, our and we have all attachments in each of these places. When we might have been born in animal families, we might have still maintained some attachments from there. We might have born in heavenly planets someday, so those attachments we would have maintained. So all these attachments are very strong in this material world. They don't go away so easily. So only when the mercy of the Lord is there, actually these attachments go easily. So the pure devotion, pure love of the God and attraction of that mercy, that alone can take us to liberation. Jnanena mukti they say, but that knowledge is not impersonal knowledge. The knowledge is not the knowledge that everything is impersonal. So that cannot give liberation. For liberation to come up, it's only pure devotion that can cause liberation. But then, what is this pure devotion? That has to be understood properly. One does not attain liberation without rendering devotional service. Liberation is only attained after is only attained by devotional service. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 24.139. So, what is pure devotional service? So, Rupa Goswami defines that. Anybody knows the shloka?
Bhukti Mukti Sprahad.
Hmm.
अनाभिलाषिता शून्यं ज्ञान कर्मादि
Mhm. That is
and
highest
Purna Krishna.
devotion. Highest
There is
devotion.
सर्वोपाधि निर्मुक्तं तत्परत्वेन
Hmm.
निर्मलं
That is the
ऋषिकेश.
verse. Sarvopadhi vinirmuktam tatparatvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhaktiruttam. So, Sarvopadhi vinirmuktam. We have to give up all the designations of the material world. I may be an engineer, I may be a doctor, I may be so and so person's son, I may be so and so person's father, I may have some big positions, so many big positions in the material world I may have. But we have to give up that. So none of them will attract Krishna. What will Krishna get attracted to? If we are able to give a lot of money to him, will he get attracted to him? Us? If we are extremely beautiful, will he get attracted to us? Or if we cook very nicely, tasty, will he get attracted to us? Or if we are very intelligent, learned in Vedas, learned in Puranas, learned in Shastras, Brahma Sutras, everything is on the mouth, will he get attracted to us? Krishna doesn't need any of this because he has many people with all these talents. He has unlimited people with unlimited talent. So actually, what can we give to Krishna? Practically, we cannot give anything. So eventually, uh, what Krishna gets attracted to is pure devotion. That love that we show to him, that actually attracts Krishna. So one of the symptoms of pure devotional service is that Krishna Akarshani Sa. It is the only way to attract Krishna. So that pure devotional service we should aim for. And that is Sarvapadi Vinirvoktam. It is free from all designations, material designations. And Tatparatvena Nirmalam. It gives pleasure. And all our senses engaged in that uh, all our senses engaged in that the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, that is pure devotional service. So that is what we should aim for. Liberation from material bondage is therefore a byproduct of devotional service. Attainment of spiritual knowledge is not sufficient to ensure liberation. Such knowledge must be overcoated with devotional service. So ultimately, the devotional service alone predominates. Then liberation is made possible. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.15 purport. Further, it is said in Bhagavatam 18.55 purport. Sorry, Srimad Bhagavad Gita 18.55 purport. This means that after liberation, the process of devotional service continues. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, real devotional liberation is defined as the reinstatement of the living entity in his own identity, in his constitutional position. The constitutional position is already explained. Every living entity is the part and parcel fragment portion of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, his constitutional position is to serve. After liberation, the service is never stopped. Actual liberation is getting free from the misconceptions of life. See, so ultimately, that is the state of liberation where material designations are not there. A person is engaged for always continuously in devotional service of the Lord just for his pleasure. Anukulyena Krishna Anushilam. You serve the Lord only for pleasure. Actually, some pleasure demons also give to the Lord. What pleasure the demons give? They give him opportunity for him to fight with them. Then they are also meditating on the Lord. So Putana rendered some service to the Lord. But all that is not considered Anukula Bhakti. That is not considered favorable devotional service. Favorable devotional service is that which is done out of love. धर्मस्वनुष्ठित पुंसा विश्वक्सेन गतासुय न उत्पादयेद यदिरतिम श्रम एव ही केवलम. So ultimately all that is meant for rati, for the pleasure of the Lord. So unless that pleasure of the Lord is there, then such a devotional service is just a burden to the society. So कामस्य नेन्द्रिय प्रीतिर लाभो जीवेत यावता जीवस्य तत्व जिज्ञासा नार्तो यश्चेह कर्मभि. So life desire should never be for sense gratification. It should be for inquiring into the absolute truth. So nothing else should be our life's works. So similarly, it is said, धर्मस्य परुगस्य नार्थो अर्थाय कल्पते नार्थस्य धर्मैकान्तस्य कामो लाभाय हि स्मृतः. All occupational engagements are certainly meant for liberation. They should be never performed for fruitive activities. So all these things are eventually for liberation, which is eventually for satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. So the real goal of life is to satisfy the Supreme Lord, to love Him. And that love is what is called pure devotion. Now, what is this pure devotion? How is it executed? Because we may say that devotion, devotee, and all these words are too loosely used. Bhakta or devotee are too loosely used in the society today. What is this bhakti? What is liberation? Does it have any procedure? Does it have some steps to follow? Many people come and ask how to get membership of ISKCON. Actually speaking, there is nothing called membership of ISKCON. Anyone who comes here and starts practicing chanting Hare Krishna, starts being among our people and starts engaging in the programs, doing service, so he is a member. There are some things like life members and all those things which people who are not so committed, they want to come and go, and but still they can contribute financially, and also they have introduced some life member system. But actually, the membership is for those devotees who are willing to commit for service. So, what is that membership program? What is the way in which we can become a devotee? What is the procedure? So, Adau Guru Padashrayas Krishna Dikshanu Sikshanam Vishrambena Guru Seva Sadhu Vartmanu Vartanu Saddharma Prucha Bhogadi Tyaga Krishnasya Hetave Nivaso Dwarakadau Cha Gangadher Abhisannitho व्यावहारेषु सर्वेषु यावत् अर्थानुवर्तिता हरिवासर सम्मान्यो धात्र्यश्वत्थादि गौरवम. This is exactly what Baldev Vidyabhushan is going to discuss. He is just going to discuss the contents of this shloka. So, what are the different steps of devotional service, and what are the different aspects of devotional service? What are the things that we are supposed to perform? So, these he is going to discuss in sequence. So, what is that we will be seeing in the next class? Yes, any questions till now? Please let me know.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dhanutvam.
Yes, Dandapat.
Prabhuji, so in Madhurya Kadamani, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that pure devotional service only gets when if we have to get pure devotional service in our heart, we have to get it from some sadhu who has pure devotional service in his heart. So Prabhu, we are in our city and we perform bhajan. And how to understand that this devotee has pure devotion in his heart, and how to attain that pure devotional service from his heart to our heart.
So, yeah, how to understand the sadhu, whether the sadhu has pure devotional service on the in his heart. That's given in Shastras. Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu describes the principles of pure devotional service that can be tested on each individual, and then we will be able to understand whether he has that or not. So it's our responsibility. If we select the wrong candidate, we will be responsible for that. We cannot blame the system for it, because Shastras have explicitly mentioned who is that devotee who has the pure devotion. So definitely we have to put this effort to study.
Also, Prabhu, when we get initiation from a Mahabhagavad devotee, uh, at that time also can we get that pure devotional service from his
Uh,
heart?
Depends on the quality of the devotee, the surrender of the devotee, and depends on the quality of the disciple. See, Shastras give the example, we will be discussing that in the next class, but Shastra gives the example of a potent man and a fertile woman. So, if a potent man and fertile woman get married, then definitely there will be children. So, similarly, if a spiritual master is potent in his spiritual message and the disciple is submissive enough, definitely there will be transfer of knowledge. So, both these things have to be there.
Yeah, yes, Prabhu, I understand. And Prabhu, can I ask one more last question?
Hmm. Yes.
Bro, so I get time. I don't usually visit temple. I just visit weekly or Ekadashi and festivals. and rest of time I perform bhakti in my house, in my home only. So, like, why does bhakti, like, sometimes it is increased and it is sometimes decreased? Like, the enthusiasm is low and high sometimes. So, how to make it certain, Prabhu?
I think we will discuss it a little later because let's understand what this devotional service is. So, next week, both the classes will be completely dedicated to understanding what pure devotional service is. And then after that, these questions will be answered.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Anything else anybody has related to this topic? Okay. So, if there are no questions, then we will wind up for today. We will meet next week and we will further discuss. This is a very detailed topic. And what are the steps in which the devotion uh, increases and how it goes to the highest level, and even after going to the highest level, how it maintains there. So step by step is very beautifully taken by Baldevidya Bhushan. He has dedicated many shlokas for this. This might be the biggest section in the whole thing, I feel. So Hariparatara, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was a big section. And Bhedo Jiva Gana was also big. This is also quite big. So we'll discuss that in detail. Okay then. So we will close for today. Thank you. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. श्री बलदेव विद्याभूषण प्रभु की जय. श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. हरे कृष्ण.
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for wonderful lecture. Hare Krishna.
Okay.